Welcome back, everybody, to another morning edition of Paranormal New Normal. I know I've been doing these a lot lately. I don't know why I do it to myself, but that's because I want to get these guests on, and this is when they're available and when it works, so I let it happen. But I have to be up with some anyway. I got kids, so welcome back. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy. If you don't know by now, come on. I try to make the world seem a little more normal. Does it ever really happen? No, no, not quite, but. Today, maybe, because the guest I have today might make things a little more normal. We'll see. No expectations. Not putting anything on you. But our
I'll try.
my guest
I'll
today
try.
is Reverend Doctor Tracy Cox, a spiritual mentor, Doctor Divinity and Reiki Master teacher. That's a
That's
combo and a
right.
half right there, and I can't wait to break
Yes,
this
it
all
is.
down. But first things
Yeah.
first, how you doing today, Tracy?
Excellent. How about you?
Uh,
You look very angelic with that light coming in behind you. Very spiritual energy.
Oh, I've been told
Yeah,
I have crazy energy before about mediums and psychics, so I don't
sure.
know what
Sure.
I don't know which direction that energy kind of leans, but it's there, so we'll see.
I
But
think it
yeah,
leans to the good.
yeah, I think
It's
it
a
leans towards the
positive
light.
energy.
I think it
Yes,
is. I think it
absolutely. I
is.
agree. I agree.
I I never been told I'm a okay, that's not true. I've been told I'm a negative person, but not by many people. I've been told by a lot more people I'm a
Listen,
positive person
we I'm a positive person too, but I've been told I'm negative when I'm talking about truth. So when you say the truth a lot of the time, if people don't want to hear it, they will call you negative. And that's not true because I think a lot of the problems that we've got in the world today is that people aren't speaking their truth. So a lot of people are going around under false pretenses. They don't really know what's going on. When if you just rip the band-aid off and were truthful with people, they would know where everything stands. You know what I mean? I think we would all get along a lot better in the world if we all spoke our truth. That's my sermon.
I
Start off with a sermon.
Well, you're a reverend, so I can't say I'm against that. But uh, probably the first sermon I heard in a long time. But and much to my grandmother's disliking. But I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree. The truth is something that is hidden these days, and people need to
A
speak it
lot.
more and more. If you ask me, because it's getting hidden by governments. It's getting hidden by the
Yep.
populace in general because they don't want to look at the
Yep.
truth. They want to live their
Yep. The
lives
media.
and try to
The media.
get by.
Absolutely.
The media. Yeah. Don't even get me started on the media and the government. That would be a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
so let's talk about how you started on this epic quest for truth, though. What brought you down this spiritual path? What what brought you down the path of
Well,
spirituality?
okay. Even as a small child, I was very much in touch with my spiritual side. Like, I really believed in God. I believed in the angels. I prayed. I mean, my favorite part of elementary school was back when we used to do the Lord's Prayer in the morning, that kind of thing, right? So I've always been like this. It's nothing different for me. I think that probably if you look into a lot of children's backgrounds, they started off very spiritual too, but the environment that they're in, the people that they're around kind of tried to stamp it out of them one way or another just because, if you've got a child that's busy looking at the beautiful sunrise and saying, you know, saying the Lord's Prayer, whatever it is, you may have people that are looking at them like they're an oddball. So I think that it's been a strange because I'm almost 60. I'll be 60 in June. So for me, um, we were kind of the last kids in public school that had a little bit of religion, had a little bit of spirituality.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it was when I was out of elementary school that all kind of ended, that they kind of pulled that all out. So I think that for me, I was just this way all along, and um, it's sort of had natural progression in my life. I used to work at a place doing yoga and guided meditation here in King City, which is an area just north of Toronto called the King Ranch, and it was like the Canyon Ranch in the States is a huge wellness resort. for the super rich, really, is what it was. And so I taught yoga and guided meditation there and started getting much more into the spiritual side of things. We had a lot of really great teachers there that they brought in from all over the world so that we could help the clients. But, it really helped us as well. And then at that point, I got my Reiki attunement, started to work as a spiritual coach and a Reiki practitioner at the New Age shows, a lot of the psychic expos, all that fun stuff way
Of
back
course.
when they were super, super kind of new. Like now it's kind of, you you see it everywhere, right? But back when in the early 90s, it was something very different. So it was kind of on the cutting edge of all that stuff with Reiki, with crystals, with all the new age spirituality, and as I did that work, I just became more drawn to the spiritual again. And eventually I was ordained so that I could do weddings, funerals, baptisms. I'm in the metaphysical faith, which is basically a faith that we embrace all religions, all spirituality. Everybody's a child of God. So we're just trying to spread the love and the inclusiveness with that. And my job as a minister is to teach people how to contact divinity themselves. So how to find their own spiritual way that they connect with divinity. And it's very different for everybody. For one person, it might be, like I was saying, seeing a beautiful sunrise. Another person, it might be some type of music. Another person wants to really get into practical prayer. Another person wants to learn Reiki. These are all ways of contacting the divine. And they're all valid, they're all powerful. And so that's what I'm here is to help people in that pursuit,
Which is a
for the
very
short answer.
indeed, but that I mean it's a
Yeah.
it's an honorable quest. It is. I mean, and
It is, yeah.
the fact that you're not a reverend of like typical organized religion
Yeah,
is
yeah.
always a great thing to hear because I mean I have as all my listeners know I have a strong stance against the basic organized religion that we all grew up with,
Sure.
and
Yep.
yeah, I mean, brought up Protestant, but quickly fell out of that one because that just, I mean, once I was the same way when I was younger. Like, I mean, we didn't say Lord's Prayer in school. I went to school in the '90s. We were way past that point by that point. But
Exactly, yep.
I mean, the Pledge of Allegiance was getting attacked when I was a kid, for God's sake. So they didn't want us doing
That's
that
right.
even. But
Yep.
I mean, it's just I don't know. I was spiritual when I was younger, like crazy. I wanted to believe. I was brought up in Sunday school. I wanted to believe in God. I did
Yeah.
believe in God, and I fell out of that. And as a teenager, I became atheist and didn't want to believe in anything because it didn't seem like there was anything. There was no proof I could
Mhm.
find. As I got older, I started seeing things, hearing things that out in the world, and I slowly became agnostic. That I believe there could be something out there. I don't want to
Sure,
put a
sure,
name
you're
to
open.
anything.
Yep.
I don't want to put a name to things without actually having the proof to back it up. That's the thing, though. I'm a science-minded person. I can't just. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, it's God." Like, really? Where's your proof? I don't see a big white guy in a beard coming down and talking to me. So, I mean,
That's
it's just
right, and that's my point is that it's divinity comes through differently for everybody. And in the Reiki, we talk about the universal life force. So the universal life force is basically the electricity that runs our bodies. And even in science, they can put you on a scan and see here's where the electricity is coming out. So it's not anything that doesn't exist. It's been proven. It's just how does that come through to the person? Because everybody's different, and if you try to shove one form of spirituality or religion down somebody's throat, you're always going to get pushback. And there's a great spiritual writer called Neville Goddard. Have you ever heard of him? He was like one of the grandfathers of metaphysics back in the
familiar. It sounds
20s,
familiar.
30s. Yeah, any of his writings are amazing because what he talks about is the fact that he, as a spiritual teacher, wants to teach everybody, and I'm the same way, to get their religion wholesale and not retail, is what he said. So retail means getting it through a middleman. So going to church, having somebody tell you, this is what you have to think. If you don't think this, you're bad, you're wrong. If you don't do this and that, you're bad, you're wrong. Right there, you've lost the plot. For me, my goal is to teach my clients to be able to contact divinity in whatever way that is. And then they don't need to talk to me anymore because they can go to divinity to get their answers, with their intuition, their gut instinct. It all works. It's all the spiritual tools that I teach people. They can make these connections, and then they don't have to rely on others, because the problem is that if you rely on a particular church or guru, or you see that type of thing too, you can always be let down. All of a sudden they can do something so out of character, so bizarre, that it leads to people losing faith, not only in the church but in God, and I think that's sad. So I think that if you go direct, that's not going to happen. So
I
that's
mean,
my goal.
exactly. I agree 100%. I mean, look at all
Yeah.
these religious organizations, the Catholics, like even the Jews. I mean, look at all these organizations that have all these scandals over the years against them, and how many people, if you think about it, because
Yeah.
nobody usually thinks about this fact, how many people actually have fallen out with their with the divine, with their spiritualness because of these scandals, and how many people lose faith
Well, I would
completely.
say most, really. Yeah, like if
Yeah.
somebody is wants to be a true believer, or wants to be somebody that's um, practices their faith in whatever way that goes, and once again, it's different for everybody. Spirituality is as individual as a fingerprint. It's very different. So if you try to cram everybody into one place and get them to all think the same, I think that it's a losing proposition. And the thing is too, is that a lot of the time, what I find, especially with people that are in distress, or they're not well, or they're going through crisis, they need to be able to immediately go to God or go to spirituality. Even with Reiki, there's no God involved. It's just the
Hmm.
universal life force. You can immediately use Reiki to deal with, heartbreak, illness, and there's a million things that you can do with it. So you're going to need that first aid for yourself, not that you got to run down to the new age store to talk to the Reiki master, or run down to the church because you got to light a candle. What I want to do is have my clients and people know that they can go to divinity immediately, right?
Hmm.
You don't need those middlemen. You just need to connect. And if you connect, you can tune into your gut instinct. And I teach people how to do that too, how to learn how to use their intuition. And you'll always get answers to your questions. You'll always know what to do. Your first thing that you think of is usually the correct thing. It's when we overthink everything that we mess it up, right? So what I want to
Exactly.
do is get people to realize that these impressions are coming from divinity. That's coming from, God, the angels, your true self, whatever you want to call it. You're always getting those messages, always. And I use an example. It's like every time you go to the grocery store, there's probably a point where you go, oh, you look at something and go, oh, I should buy cream. And then you're like, no, I don't have anything I need it for. So you leave it. And then when you get home the day later, you're looking at a recipe and the only thing you don't have is the cream. So your true self, divinity, is trying to tell you all the time what you need. It's just that we second guess it and go, oh, no, but if you just buy the cream, things work out better. Like, how many times have you done that in a store and then had to drive back because you needed something, right? Happens all the time.
Yeah, especially when you're shopping for your wife and kids, and your wife gives you a list, and even though you don't see something on the list, you're like, she usually asks for this. I probably should get it, but no, she didn't write it on the list.
Yep.
Let's go. Yeah, you go home without that item, and you're not gonna be a happy man later. So
That's
keep that
right,
item.
that's right. So that's your intuition, that's your gut instinct. So I try to teach everybody to tune into that as well because, for a long time when I worked at the psychic expos, I would do spiritual readings too, right? And the thing is that with spiritual readings, it's great because you can tell the person what aspects are around them and what you feel positive, negative, all that kind of stuff. But really, they have to live that life. So they need to recognize these things themselves. So that's what I want. I want to teach people how to be spiritual beings on their own. And then they don't need me. It's not like somewhere where you're trying to lock them in because you want to take 10% of their income, right?
Ex-
Like a lot of places.
ex- like a lot of
That's all
churches, yes, and
yeah,
I mean, and
that's all I'll
a hundred
say.
percent,
Not pointing any fingers.
and and not just the churches either. I mean, that's how you know
Exactly.
that's how you know a good psychic versus a bad psychic. That's how you know a good Reiki teacher versus a bad Reiki teacher. If the bad teachers are always going to be the ones, the bad of any profession are going to be the ones who want to lock you in so that you need to keep feeding them, keep paying them
Yeah,
the money, and keep
yeah.
keep their checkbook going up. I mean, the good
That's
ones
right, that's right.
the good ones eventually want to push you out of the nest and let you fly on your own wings. So
Yeah, that's
they
the
don't want to
thing. You
keep.
don't want somebody that's always needing help because you want to teach them how to help themselves, right? And that's the same thing. You could say that even with things like, and we won't name any names, but there's certain self-help groups, growth um, conventions where, yeah, they go and they pay big bucks and then they want you to recruit other people to come and on and on and on. And it's like, how is this spiritual?
Oh,
It's
I
like
mean,
a MLM. It's like a
it's a pyramid.
multi-level marketing, right? Yeah,
It's
it's a
pyramid
pyramid
schemes.
scheme.
That's all it is. It's all these pyramid
Yeah.
schemes like Avon, like all. I mean, Avon's not too bad at least. They want you to make money.
No, but
That's all
they
they want. I
provide
mean,
something, right? Yeah. That's
oh, of course, yeah. I
multi-level.
mean,
Well, I don't even know. I don't
but
even know what they are. But yeah, like I think that the best thing is to teach a man to fish, right? And then he can feed his family forever. Right?
there's a famous TV show where a character actually says like, "Screw teaching a man to fish. Fishing's not that hard." Like he's like, "Go
Yeah.
fish for yourself. Go fish for yourself and get more fish." He's like, "Fishing's not that hard." But I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, it's really it's a good metaphor. It really is. And sometimes religion has those, but we try. But
Yes. We
I
try
want
to
to
keep
hear.
it positive. Yeah.
So I know already that you have some experiences. I want to hear more about them in detail, of course, and I want my listeners to hear about them as well. So tell us about these experiences you had that kind of brought you to me in a way.
Sure. Well, when we were talking about before the show, I think we were talking about the fact that when I was 18, I had a near death experience, so an NDE, and you read a lot about them and you wonder what they're like. And it was during a medical emergency where I was hemorrhaging and bleeding out. And it's very hard to describe. Now, for me, because I've always had a connection to God and I've always prayed in the angels, and, God is, whether or not atheists will laugh at, you know, the big man in the clouds with the big white beard and the long white hair, that's who God is to me. God is like Heavenly Father. So, um, as I started to lose consciousness in this situation, I prayed for God to help me, and I was in a hospital on the bed, and I immediately was out of my body up into the corner of the room. And it's like as I prayed, I was out. And it was the most bizarre sensation because I was still me. There was body, but it was different. There was kind of a glowing to it. And I could see the doctors working on me. But as I lifted up my eyes, I noticed, and I wear glasses and I'm pretty nearsighted. So what I noticed was that when I was out of my body is that I could see everything without my glasses. And it just blew my mind, and my mind just started to be blown, right? Because I started
Hmm.
to realize what was going on. And I've never had such a feeling of like love, comfort, warmth. I knew I was going to be okay, but it was like they were working on me, so I didn't need to be down there. And the other thing that was very interesting is that I didn't need glasses, but I also found that the colors, the shapes, everything just sparkled, and yet there was an intense the color palette was nothing like you see in this world. The depth of it, it was alive, right? It was just beautiful. And then as you looked through the walls, as your attention moved, you could move through that. So I could see that like things would just dissolve in front of me as I thought about them. And then all of a sudden, wham, I was right back in my body because I was getting a blood transfusion, right? So once it kicked in to the point that it needed to be, then I
Yep.
went right back into my body. But at that point, I really realized that, hey, there's nothing to be scared of. As soon as we go and there's a problem with our bodies, I mean, I always say, your body is the car and your spirit is the driver. And there's no car in the world that goes forever, right? But when we have a car that eventually gets junked, we get up, we get out of that car, and we get a new one. So that's my feeling about going to the other side like that. I really feel, not that I think that you're going to be reincarnated. Maybe you stay in the spirit world. Maybe you stay in heaven. I don't know. Like I wasn't in long enough to know that part, right? I still don't know. I accept that some people believe in reincarnation, but for me, that's just I don't even think about that. All I knew is that I was still me. Once I was up and out of my body, I was absolutely still me. And I believe that we do keep our personality intact, but we're different, right? Once we're out of that body, it's like the junked car. We don't have anything to do with that anymore. It's pure spirit, and that's where that real freedom, that feeling of endlessness and eternity comes in. So that's kind
Hmm.
of where I really woke up about that. I was about 18 when that happened. So it was
That
tough, but it taught me everything. So that was
eye
amazing.
opening.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I,
Kind of mind
and
blowing, really.
as some, I mean, kind of curious though, because I mean, well, I myself believe in reincarnation 100%. I have for a long time. I've heard too many stories for it not to be something that happens. I'm not saying it
I
happens
do
to
too, but
everybody.
I don't know. I don't think it happens immediately. I think maybe there's some kind of a school
Oh,
where we get
it's
schooled on where we made our mistakes.
I don't believe it's immediate. I mean, from
Yeah, I don't think
what
it's immediate.
I've talked to so many psychics, mediums, and clairvoyants, and other people in this spiritual realm that a lot of them all kind of agree though on the fact that it's we go to like a waiting room, kind of like a DMV waiting room when we die,
Yeah, that's what I
and
think. Yeah, or whatever it is.
and
Yeah.
that and that
Yeah,
and that we're basically waiting to see what's going to happen next. At first,
that's right.
Christians, Catholics may want to call it purgatory, but that's where we go, and it's not a deep dark place. It's just a kind of a waiting room. I mean, I've been said some say it's in another dimension, some say it's somewhere in space, even like because
Well,
heaven is up supposedly.
I think that the spiritual world is all around us. I think that something about us being in the body and in the material world keeps us from seeing it. So, because that's what I saw when I had my NDE, is that it was all around us. Spirit is all around us. It's just that something about being in this body keeps us from seeing that. I think you just go nuts, right? If you were always seeing what's in the spirit world around, I think it would be
Uh,
too hard for us to
I
navigate, right?
I think most people would literally lose their minds if they could see the spirit
Yeah.
world at all
So I
times.
think it just blocks us from seeing that so we can function.
But
But then you get things in dreams, right? You get dreams that are visionary. Sometimes I'll get prophetic dreams where the thing will happen and it'll be 2 weeks down the road. All of a sudden, you'll go, "This is exactly what I was just dreaming about." That
e,
happens to
yeah,
me all the time.
that's oh my God, I just was talking about this 2 nights ago. Oh my God, how am I forgetting the name of it? Um, I mean, I've had those too since I was a kid. They're never
Oh
anything.
yeah.
They're never anything huge. They're never anything that's actually life changing
No,
or
they're
makes like.
yep.
They're just little conversations and stuff that are like, why did I dream
Yeah,
about this?
exactly.
like,
I know, isn't
like
that wild?
why can't I think? It's
Yeah,
right
that
in the
happens
tip of
to me
my.
all the time.
Oh
They
my
happen all the
god!
time. I think that some people will call them déjà vu because they won't realize that they dreamt about it,
The,
right? So they'll be
premonitions,
talking.
premonitions.
Yeah, premonition. There's many words for it.
Yeah, that's the word I'm thinking of. It's a premonition. It's a premonition dream. I've had them since I was a kid. I see things. I see conversations coming. I see a kid that I'm in
Hmm.
class with in high school tripping over something, and it doesn't happen for like a month, but I see it before it happens. It's just like
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'm
Well,
sitting there
I
like,
think a
was I
lot
supposed to
of that,
stop him?
yeah, I think a lot of that is the fact that in the metaphysical faith, in our faith, many of us believe that all moments in time exist simultaneously. So
hmm
everything all at once, right? Something about our material body keeps us going in a straight trajectory through a portion of eternity. But when we have those dreams where it's something that is coming up in the future, I think that it's because all moments in time exist simultaneously. Somehow you're on another level in your dreams. And even if you read any Kurt Vonnegut books, he talks about that quite a bit. Like that's what he believes too, is the fact that or he believed is that life is like, or all moments in time are like a staircase, but you can go up and down the staircase depending on if you have the ability to slip in and out in dreams. Some people can focus, like when you're giving a reading, things like that, but it's because it's all there. It's like the
It,
Big
it,
Bang Theory, right? It's all
it,
there, it
yeah,
is.
I mean, I believe it. Time is not linear. Time is definitely
Exactly.
cyclical. We can go around it as we please. We haven't exactly figured out the science behind it to actually
No, I
traverse
don't
it
even think
yet.
they ever will. I don't think that they ever will.
I,
And I think science has really done themselves a disservice over the last 4 or 5 years, shall we say, where they weren't allowing scientific debate. They were just saying, this is the science, I am the science. All that kind of stuff really made a lot of people not trust scientists. So I think they did themselves a huge disservice with the way that they acted over the last few years. And I don't know if they'll ever be able to tune into something like that because of the fact that. Even though quantum physics does believe exactly what I just said, that all moments in time exist simultaneously, that the superstring theory, that's what that's all about, is that everything is existing all at once and we just slip in and out of those timelines. Maybe
I
they'll
mean, it
find it,
also,
maybe not. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
there's a lot of, there's a lot of conspiracy theories and just theories in general,
Yeah.
scientific theories that lend into that. I mean, the whole matrix simulation theory is definitely one of them, that we are just living in a
Yep.
matrix and that's
Yep.
why it's possible. But I, my biggest thing with that whole thing is if we're living in a simulation, who's controlling it? And that's what I want to know. Like, is it a big
Yeah.
white guy with a big beard that and long gray hair that is controlling it, or is it an extraterrestrial species that was here before us and put us here? Like, I don't know. And
I don't think so.
that's
I don't think so.
we go back.
I think
I
God and divinity, the angels, you know, it's interesting because you're starting to hear a lot of stuff about aliens now, right? Like we never heard before from people talking
government.
about maybe the government, the military. And one of the things, the rumblings that I've heard about the aliens is that they're figuring out that this is more of a spiritual thing. It's not aliens from a different planet. We're talking about spiritual beings that have been around us all the time, and people are now starting to twig in. So, for me, um, these questions are just so huge. Who knows? Who knows what if we'll ever find out? I don't know. It may be
I,
unknowable. We don't know.
I'm. I mean, I've talked to people who talk to extraterrestrials. I've talked to people who talk to angels. I've talked to people who talk to archangels. I mean, it's just it's. I don't know if it's how these things want to present themselves to you. and how they want to introduce themselves. If maybe they're going along with what your belief structure originally was, so that's why
That may
they want to make
be.
you feel
That may
they
be.
want to make you feel comfortable. Maybe I mean same that's that, but that also goes into the
Maybe.
whole.
But the thing is, but I don't know about that because for me, like I have seen angels twice in my life, and they were both while I was praying because there was crazy stuff going on and I wanted some help. But the second time wasn't as scary. The first time was absolutely terrifying. And one of the things that you'll notice in the Bible is that when anybody sees an angel, the angel always says, "Be not
Don't be
afraid.
scared. Yeah,
Be not afraid." And supposedly, the original Aramaic of it translation is "Stop screaming. It's okay." That's what they're actually saying to us. "Stop screaming, it's
that's
okay." So for me, when I saw the first time I saw an angel, it was terrifying. It was like something and it was just I looked up and it was there right in front of me, and it's more like the biblically accurate angels that you see on the internet, okay? You know, some artists have done
this
them in 3D
the
with the
six
eyes and the
arms.
rolling wheels and the color. Yeah, and the it was I can't even describe it now to even think about it. It was just majestic, terrifying, comforting, all at the same time. And I think that they are very much involved in everything, the spiritual environment around us all the time. We just don't see them because we would lose it if we were always seeing them, you know. But the thing is that there's so much that you can do to get them on your side, to help you with things, to communicate with them. It's just a fascinating study. And, I just seeing them twice like that, I would never ever think that it wasn't a real thing. And even in we just got through Easter, even Jesus had a guardian angel in the garden that came to him to give him strength because he knew that he was going to get crucified. And his guardian angel came to him. So I truly believe that everybody has a guardian angel. It's just whether or not you tap into that. You might have more than one,
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
that if you can tap into that energy, it's very beneficial.
Well, I mean, I was just actually talking about this on a show the other night, and it's true because I mean, everybody has a guardian of some kind, whether it's your
I think
spirit guide, guardian angel, whatever you want to call it.
sure you
Like
might call it a spirit guide. Sure.
it also goes with that gut. It's that gut instinct. That's what it is. I mean, when you are
Yes.
the example I gave the other night, which really I think is perfect, is if you're driving and all of a sudden something tells you like I should slow down, and then you,
Yep.
you slow down and you get up a little further ahead, and oh look, there's a car accident. You slow down, otherwise that could have been you. And but why'd you slow
Absolutely.
down?
I agree.
It gut instinct, which it's something telling you like something's gonna happen if you don't do this. And there are
And
people
that's
fortunate enough to
exactly what I
listen.
teach. Yeah. That's exactly what I teach my clients is that gut instinct, that intuition, that is your guardian angel talking to you. That's God talking to you. That's the only way that they can talk to us, right? Is that still small voice within us that knows. And
Exactly.
my whole way to teach my clients is to tap into that, learn how to develop that so that you can use it to your benefit because it will never steer you wrong. Just like we were talking about before at the grocery store, right? Buy the cream,
Yep. Exactly. And
right?
good good morning, Pam. Good morning, Harley. Sorry guys, I've been slacking on comments. And yes, it is intuition, Pam. That's what it is. But does it come from
Yep.
somewhere, or is it just naturally in our heads? That's the question. But Pam actually has a good question for you. She wants to know what your thought about mediums is.
Um, so you're talking about mediums, ones that will talk to people that have crossed over, things like that. Is that right? Can she
I'm
answer
a
us on this thing here?
oh yeah, she can answer. But I'm assuming that's what she meant. But I mean, I
Yeah. I know that it does exist. I know that some people enjoy connecting that way. For me, I'm not into that at all because I feel that if somebody that's on the other side wants to talk to me, then there will be some kind of a, like we're saying, some kind of a dream that they come in. Maybe they'll come into my mind and there'll be a feeling that this is the way to do things. I mean, I just lost my dad a few years ago, so that energy is around you and you can tap into it. But for me personally, I don't go see mediums or anything like that. I'm not into it. But I think that more power to you if you do, and I do believe that that mediums are a real thing. I just personally don't. That's not the way I connect with spirituality. But in the metaphysical faith, we really try to embrace everybody's individual way that they connect spiritually. So I do believe that that's definitely something that is real, and I think that more power to you if you want to connect that way. But I don't
I mean,
personally do that.
as someone who's had multiple psychic mediums on this show, like I fully believe they do what they say they can do. I've had
Oh, for
them
sure.
tell me. I believe I've had them tell me things after the show was over off and we were off live that like no way they could have known this person was in my life. That you can't
Sure,
Google this
sure.
type of stuff. So I mean, it's just and people that have passed on that have supposed to be been around me at that time, like I would never would have imagined some of them being around me, but apparently I like to play host to a lot of spirits. I don't know why that is. I'm still trying to figure out the answers to all
Sure.
that. But
Yeah, like
uh
for me, it's just an area I don't get into, but more power to the people that are into it. You know what I mean? Like in the metaphysical faith, we embrace every type of spirituality and we're non-judgmental. The biggest thing is that what we're trying to do is live by the love thy neighbor uh, part of the 10 commandments and also the golden rule. So the thing is that you don't even have to believe in God to use the golden rule, and that is do unto others as they would do unto you. If the entire world did that and we just let each other do what we wanted in a kind way and didn't hurt anybody, the spiritual atmosphere around the world would just it would change. We would have an instant paradise. But
I
it
it's
doesn't
true. It's
seem like
true.
it's going that direction right now, but it's
No, it
my goal.
doesn't. And Pam actually has another one where she says, "I believe the Bible is written by spirit." What is your thought on that?
Oh, for sure. Like I think that that was the people that wrote the Bible were actually interacting with God and the angels. They were getting it through spiritually. Absolutely, they were all prophetic, and that's exactly how it came through. So yeah, I do believe the Bible is written by people that actually um, were in contact with divinity. Now, we also know that a lot of the Bible has been taken out. There's a lot of parts that are gone now, which
Hmm.
is a shame. It was edited by people that maybe didn't have the best intentions, but I still believe that, yeah, it did come through spirit. Absolutely. It came through prophets.
We're talking to you.
Yep.
We're talking about you, King James, if you don't know. But yeah, there's a. I mean,
Yeah.
there's.
Yeah. It's happened all the
I
way
believe there's.
along.
I mean, yeah, King royalty and kings and queens throughout history have edited the Bible to the version they want
Yeah.
it to be, and I believe there
Sure.
are
Sure.
20,
They were the only ones with the money to do it, right?
and I believe there was 23 books taken out of the Bible, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I could be wrong about that
I
number,
don't know the
but
exact number, but yeah, many, many books were taken out of the Bible because they were
I
just
mean,
too crazy.
I mean,
Gave the people too much sovereign power.
off top of my head, the ones that always stick out are the Book of Enoch, the Book of Lilith. Like those are the ones that
Yeah.
they tend to have the most.
Yeah.
Tend to have the most answers that humans are looking for to this day. That and they were taken out, and the only place they are
Yeah.
is the Vatican basement. And if we
Yeah,
people,
interesting, eh? Isn't that interesting?
I'm telling you, you all wanted to storm Area 51. There ain't nothing there. They don't really keep things where people are going to find it. Go storm the
No.
Vatican. That's where everything is. They can't
Yeah,
take us all
well,
down.
it's whatever. It's its own kingdom, right?
It is. I mean, and
It
a
is.
co-host of mine on another show. A co-host of mine on another show I used to do. We used to always say that if the zombie apocalypse ever happens, we're going to the Vatican. But because we want to,
Yeah, it might give us
we're
some information on how to combat it. Yeah.
not even that. Just we want the answers. We want the answers that are hidden there. We want to know everything.
Yeah.
The
Well,
answers to
I'll tell you a
everything are in
really
the Vatican.
strange story. I had a friend, and his name was Billy Jameson, and he had a show on History Channel called Treasure Hunters. I don't know if you ever saw that. He
I've
used to
heard of it.
sell oddities. Yeah, he was kind of a rock and roll looking guy.
Hmm.
He used to sell oddities, shrunken heads. He'd go all around. He would go all around the world and buy all these crazy things. And one of the things that I knew is that the Vatican with the relics, a lot of the time, what I've been told is that there is a certain spiritual energy put on relics like skulls and bones and stuff like that you shouldn't be buying and selling them. Okay, that it brings bad news. And this friend of mine bought this skull at auction of a saint that had been in some Irish family's castle, and who knows how they got it. So he bought this skull, and the day that he bought it, he died. So Billy died that day. He had a heart attack, and his cleaning lady found him the next day, and he was gone. And, you know, if you want to believe that they've cursed those things so that people can't buy and sell them, that was a pretty crazy thing to happen, right?
I mean,
So he
haunted,
passed away.
haunt.
I think he was 58. He was younger than I am now. It was a few
I
years
mean,
ago. I think it was about 10 years ago now.
don't get me wrong. Haunted, cursed objects is one of the biggest fields in the paranormal because they truly exist. I
Yeah.
mean, just the freaking dolls alone, Robert, Annabelle, like all these dolls that are supposedly cursed and
Oh,
haunted.
yeah,
Like,
that the Warrens
it,
had, oh, yeah. Oh,
I
I
mean,
think it happens, absolutely.
Anybody can go see Robert the doll. He's sitting in a museum in Key West, Florida. Go see him. Don't take a picture. Don't take a picture of him because that's how you get some bad mojo coming your way,
How
and you're gonna have to
how
send
it
a post.
follows you home, yeah.
Oh,
But
you're gonna have
anyways,
to send a
yeah,
postcard to apologize to it. There's a wall of them.
yeah, yeah. So I think that it's, very powerful in the Vatican. I wouldn't mess with them. That's all I have to say about all that. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah.
I'm
I
like,
mean, well, I mean, if that's why we say if there's a zombie apocalypse, because at that point there's nothing left to lose. So
yeah,
why
sure, we wanna
just
find
go?
out what's
Let's.
in there. Yeah.
Uh,
Yep,
all right,
definitely.
Pam wrote a long one here. So,
Okay, if you
if
believe
you
I was Spirit, you believe you
if
can
you believe
connect with
for
some
those who are
spirit.
listening. For those who are listeners, I have to read out for them because they can't see the screen. But if you believe Bible is written by spirit and you believe that you can connect with someone who has passed, if you can see an angel, what's the difference between that and a medium
Yep.
who hears spirit or sometimes sees spirit also? A lot of churches do not believe in talking about spirit, so I'm glad to see you talking about this.
Oh,
Which,
okay. Yeah, so in the metaphysical faith, we're called metaphysical now, but we used to be called spiritualist church. It's all kind of the same, the spiritualist church, the metaphysical church. So we do have people that are mediumistic that will give messages from spirit. And I think that and in the spiritualist church, especially like the classic British spiritualist church, that's part of the service is people giving mediumistic messages from the platform. Whether it's from somebody that's crossed over, whether it's from an angel, whether it's they're feeling that God has given them a message to come through and tell this person. Yeah, this is part of our faith. This is absolutely part of our faith. And in the metaphysical church, spiritualist church, you can find all this stuff. And you can find every Sunday mediums doing platform work, which is what they call it, working from platform, and they will give messages to the members that are there. So yeah, we accept that absolutely. And I know some people, like real purists, shall we say, think that that's evil and whatever, but we don't think that, not at all. If you look at the Bible, especially the Old Testament, you'll see all
hmm.
kinds of stories about um, psychics, mediums, prophets, where they were part of the civilization. It's just that it goes in and out of fashion, I guess. I don't know. But in metaphysical and the spiritualist movement, we accept that. Absolutely.
I mean,
So that's
person, as long as the person giving you messages isn't pulling a John Edward and trying to be like, I see
oh,
someone
yeah.
whose name starts with an
No, no,
A.
no.
Like, no, no, that's the
You mean
fake
like doing
crap.
cold
Cold
readings or
call,
whatever. Yeah, I don't
calls me.
even know. I don't even know. I don't know what he's on about because I don't watch any of that stuff. Like I just, it's not my bag, the medium stuff.
I mean,
So I got nothing to say about any of them. But I'm sure that there's people out there that do it, and like you said, they're just making it up as they go along,
oh,
right?
I mean, the good and bad exist in every profession in the world, whether it's spiritual
Exactly.
or just even in
Exactly.
the medical community. There's bad doctors. My God, there's a lot of bad doctors. I've met a lot of bad
Yeah.
doctors.
Yeah.
It's not everybody. I mean, it seems like these days they're hating at those damn medical degrees, like especially since that pandemic that hit a couple years ago. But it seems like they're handing out those medical degrees to get them out in the fields because they need people to fill holes because all the doctors left during that. But because they didn't want to deal with it, or
Yeah, many
they just
did.
had enough.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep. Yeah,
Pam
I
actually has a good
there's good
question
and
for you.
bad in all fields, absolutely. You ever had a psychic reading
There,
and did you believe what they told you? Yeah, I'm reading this, Pam. If you had a psychic reading and did you believe what they told you? Yes, for sure. I've gone to different psychics from time to time, and um, one thing to remember with psychic readings is that only God is 100%. Okay, anybody that gives you a psychic reading, there's going to be areas that they're wrong. It's just the way it is. They're not God. They're not going to be 100% correct. All that a psychic can do is really show you what the aspects are around what you're doing. But there's also free will, right? So you can change your destiny. If somebody says this is going to happen, you don't have to have that happen. You can completely change your trajectory by the choices that you make. And that's free will, right? So for me, I don't do much, like go to psychics that much because of that, because of the fact that we really do have free will, and there's so much that we can do, especially like I said, if you learn how to interact with God, with the angels, with Reiki, even with different spiritual systems, where you can do that for yourself and see what way things are going. Once again, you're not handing it off to a middleman, right? A psychic is still a middleman. So I want to know what's going on with me myself. So I try to teach my clients how to do it themselves, basically. You know what I mean?
and
Does
Pam
that
says
make sense?
exactly.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
She agrees with you
Yeah.
100%.
I
I mean,
want everybody to have a direct relationship with spirit, and not have to
but
go to anybody else.
that brings forth a thought in my mind, though. I mean, this is a highly debated topic, but what if psychics are getting these messages? What if they're given their abilities by God because or by the creator, by the universal spirit, whatever you want to call it? What if they're given their powers by this in order to spread messages
Yep.
from, like, maybe that's their
Oh,
purpose on Earth
sure.
is to spread the messages of the deceased?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And the thing is that that is a very good point. I think that we don't know what everybody's earth walk is about, right? We don't know how they connect. Maybe they need to go through a psychic, and maybe that information is coming through a God and the angels. And I know that when I do a reading for somebody, that's who I'm asking. I'm like asking God and the angels to send me what this person needs to hear. So, absolutely, I agree that that can be 100% what's going on. And like you said, there's always going to be some bad actors that are scammers that are pretending that they're connected and they're not, but we can't worry about them. So
Well,
I
it's
do
funny
believe
because
that that stuff could be coming from God and the angels. Absolutely.
you actually you mentioned earlier that you came into the spiritual world in the 90s kind of, and like
Yeah,
that it was a different
early
world
90s.
completely. And I talk about on this show all the
Yeah.
time about how like I was a kid in the 90s, and back then I was told by my parents, "Oh, don't trust the psychics that you don't go to their little shops in the front of their houses on Main Street.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
all a scam. They're all just trying to rob you." Like, but I started talking to all these people. with that in mind, and it's just like with that in the back of my head, like what my grandparents and my because my grandparents were probably religious and my parents were semi-religious. They kind of fell out of it, but like, and they told me all this, and I'm going talking to all these psychics. I'm like, I can see their abilities working, and I know they're not lying because it's
Yeah.
about me.
Yep.
I know they're not lying, so I'm like,
Yeah,
it's it's
absolutely.
a it's a it's funny how the spiritual awakenings of the last 20 years have changed the scape of this, how the world views the spiritualness of it all. It's
Well,
just
yeah,
funny
and for
how it
some people,
happens.
going to a psychic is the only spiritual thing they're gonna have. Like, a lot of
Mm.
psychics will talk about prayer, God, the angels, and that's the only contact that that person's going to have with that beautiful energy because like we said the churches are failing, like they're not doing well because people are just feeling betrayed half the time by them. Like we don't need to get into any particular one, but I think a lot of people are realizing that spirituality is a personal thing, so you don't need to go to a place to have
S-
contact with God and the angels. They're
See,
with you all the time.
see, when I have a clear memory of when I was a freaking preteen, teenager, somewhere around there, and we were having my mom had a bunch of friends over for dinner, and one of her friends said, he's like, I don't feel like I need to go to church. He's like, I can talk to God whenever I want. I don't need to go pay somebody in a church to
Yeah,
talk to God. And my mom
it's
and I'm
true.
like, see, that's that. I'm like, see, that's why I have to go to church. And my mom just said, shut up, Jeremy. But it's like even back then, I was getting told the
Yeah,
right thing, and I was getting shut down because it's just not like,
sure.
why do we have to go into a place where they literally pass around a collection plate for someone to for someone to tell you what supposedly God is saying, and it's not like they're up there even talking to God. It seems like they're just reading out of a book, and it seems like they're just reading a sermon they wrote or that they got out of a book.
Yeah.
Because I've been in pastors' offices. It's literally just they have books at like 365 sermons, 2023, like that type of book. Like they have
Yeah,
that.
and
Like they're
it feels very boring. And I don't know how they can make these topics boring because they're very interesting. But yeah, a lot of places make it so boring. And I
I
think that's
mean,
where they lose people.
they do. I mean, they
Yeah.
it because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the first pastor I remember growing up with, because he was the pastor of the church from the time I was born. He baptized me to the time he retired finally, like when I was a preteen, and we got a new pastor, and he was a little bit younger, and he was a good guy, and his sermons were actually comical a little bit. They were entertaining. They made you laugh.
Sure, a little humor. Yeah, it's interesting.
They made you pay attention, and I actually didn't mind going to listen to his sermons, is because it wasn't an old gray guy up there reading from a book. It was he would
Yeah.
throw the Bible
Yep.
into it, but he would put in these soliloquies and these freaking metaphor, like old stories about humans that tied along with it that were hilarious and like were truthful and insightful. It's just if they could find a way to do that, but not every pastor is like that. There's a lot of pastors out there that are just. I mean, I'm not gonna say that all churches are diminishing because I used to live next to a Hispanic church, and every 2 or 3 nights a week they had a full band and everything too.
Oh
That
yeah.
you could
Oh
hear
yeah.
them from
Yep.
you could
Okay.
hear them
Very popular. Yep.
with every door of that building shut. You could hear them like celebrating, screaming, like yelling out. Like you could hear them. Like it's not all religion is dying. It's just a lot of the older ones are because
Well,
it's
I
just
think what's
not.
happening is that people are taking it more just for themselves personally. So having a direct relationship with God and the angels and not going through a church. And I think that's where the power really lies now because stuff happens to us every day that we need help with. So if you can take a beat and pray or, ask God or your angels, what do I do? First thing I teach my clients is that as soon as something bad happens, just pray, like, help me, God, show me what you want me to do. And you'll get an answer. You will get an answer. And once again, it comes down to that gut instinct, intuition. You'll be pointed in a
It's
certain direction,
it's
and
true.
that's
It's
where I
I
want
mean
people to tap into.
It's true. I mean, I personally have a hard time meditating. I have a hard time because I worked with a Reiki master for 6, 7 months as a we made a deal after she was on my show, and I worked with her for 6, 7 months, and I learned from her that Reiki is a real thing. I could actually feel the bad energy leaving my body when she would
Oh,
do
yeah.
her practices.
Yep,
It's
yep.
I truly believe Reiki is a real thing. I've experienced
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
I've been left in
Mhm.
I've been left feeling new and left. I've shed tears from it because it so much bad energy leaving my body the first
Absolutely.
few times. But it's just I've always been one of those people who's had a hard time meditating, a hard time like just sitting there and praying because I never felt like it did anything for me. I
Sure.
mean, I never saw
That's
signs.
why
I
I
never saw
teach
signs.
I understand. That's why I teach Reiki as well, because I find that people either connect very strongly with prayer, like we're saying, meditation, but people that can't meditate and have a hard time with prayer, Reiki can get them to connect with that universal life force because it's more of an active thing where they're having to think about the symbols and they're having to, do you know what I mean? Connect in a way that's raising their vibration. And that's what's so amazing about it, right? And just I could I write for a couple Reiki magazines. One of them is called Reiki Rays, and the other one's called Universal Life Magazine. And just when I decide to write on a topic, there's just endless ways of using it. You know, one of the big ways that I use it is that I help a lot of people that have dealt with narcissists and had a lot of emotional hurts from narcissists. And there's a really, really easy way to heal from that with Reiki because you're using it in a more it's hard to describe. It gives you kind of the eyes of an eagle. So you're kind of over the problem as opposed to being in it. Do you know what I mean? So that once
Yeah,
again, using your gut instinct, your intuition, you can see that person for what they really are, as opposed to somebody that you're snared up with emotionally. You can see that this is just, you got to go. Get them away from you, right? And I find it just helps people see really clearly, you know, in a much more it's not that it's a scientific way, but that it's got it's almost like a recipe book. So do A, B, C, and you're going to get this result. And that's what I love about teaching Reiki, right? It's
and
so easy to teach.
it is, and I mean, I
Yeah,
kind of have fallen out of doing it. I have a guided meditation that she gave me and all that, and I just kind of fell out of doing it lately because life's been hectic. But
sure.
I still feel from time to time like even I mean literally this whole interview I'm sitting here and it like one it feels cold as could be out where I am and it's 50 degrees out so it's not like it's really cold out so like I
Hmm.
but it feels like it's in the 30s right now and 10 to 1 of my spirits is hanging out with me out here I wouldn't be surprised it
Sure, sure.
happens but
Yep.
it's also ever since I started working with a Reiki master I when I talk to people who do it it's like all of a sudden something connects in me and I could feel like the energy flowing throughout my body at the same time. And it's just like it's mind blowing and mystifying, like it really
Yeah,
is. Because
because the Reiki flows. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the thing that to remember is that there's no time and space with it either. Once again, all moments in time exist simultaneously, right? That's the other thing that Reiki relies on is the fact that it doesn't matter if the person is halfway around the world. You can still send that Reiki energy right to that person, right to their situation. And I do things where with people with their businesses as well, because I was in the corporate world, you know, back before. And so I know how stressful that is and how to kind of work it with the Reiki to help them, and you can solve so many problems in the corporate world, in the business world, with money, with Reiki, because once again, you're going to be seeing clearly. It's kind of taking away the stress, the tension. Anytime we're really stressed out, we don't think clearly. So we're trying to get calm, relaxed energy so people can make good decisions once again. And then you can go even, you know, into more of a gut instinct and an intuition thing. So once that's coming out, then you're going to really make the right decisions, right?
exactly. And that right there is a lesson to take home today, folks. It really is that
you go.
consider this your sermon for the weekend. You can skip church tomorrow. You're welcome. but but I do want to thank Tracy for coming on because it's been a mind blowing hour, and I can't wait for my
Thanks.
listeners to
Yeah,
hear
it's been
this
fun.
as far out as that may be in the future because I am baking episodes for a certain reason. You all will find out later. But for right now, though, Tracy, tell them where they could find you, where they could find all your services if they want to reach out and
Sure.
try some of this.
Sure. So my website is reverenddratracycox.com, and I've got all the services on there. And I also have links to a lot of my videos, just like this, where I'm talking to people about all these spiritual things, magazines that I write for. So check out my website, reverenddratracycox.com. And I work with people all over the world through the internet. And there's a lot of things that I can do for people, like one session, you know what I mean? 1 hour, and teach you a lot of spiritual tools to kind of hook you up so that you can get your life going in the direction that you want it to be.
There you go, folks. Once again, another guest of mine with great services for you to go use. I mean, come on, I'm giving you stuff to help your life. It's do use
That's
it,
right. You
use
are.
it. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you listen to this show, watch the show just to hear my voice. I mean, if you do, thank you, but I don't think you do. So that's me personally. And Pam says, "Thank you, Dr. Cox, for your input and advice." So,
Thank you so much, Pam. Yeah,
and
go to my website and follow my my Facebook page and all that stuff, because I do every day. I have spiritual messages of the day, and so I'm trying to spread that light and love around. Right? Got to keep our
exactly.
vibe high in this world, in clown world.
The fact you just said that to a juggalo makes me laugh. But ah well, folks, and in honor, and I mean, and keeping in line with keeping your spirit high today, happy 420 to everybody. But perfect day for that actually. But and for as far as I go, if you're watching this, you know where to find me. Just follow me where you're streaming. If you're watching this, I'm sure you're ready to follow me. And all my listeners, you should know by now where to find me. My God, it's been 200 plus episodes. If you don't know, shame on everything, your house, your cow, your car, everything. But check out the outro. It'll all be there as always. And I will actually be back tonight with continuing the spiritual talks because tonight I actually have a guest talking about spiritual burnout. So that, let's continue it today. It's a good
There you
day, and
go,
maybe you will be burnt
spiritual
out.
day. Yeah.
And maybe after all 420, you'll be a little burnt out. So it might help. So it works. I did not plan it this way, folks. It's just the way these things naturally happen. I
Funny.
did not plan this, but and thank you, Pam. I appreciate your love for my shows. I really do. I love all my fans. And actually, and Pam wants to extend an invitation to you. She does have a page on Facebook called the Serene Divine. You're welcome to share anything on her page anytime you like. So,
Sure.
and
Please
of course,
go to my website and send that through to me, and I'll check that out too. Absolutely. And thank you, Pam, for watching.
and for all everybody watching this, go enjoy your Saturday, please, and don't spend it all in front of a computer. I beg you. It's raining here, but hopefully where you are, it's nice. So go enjoy it. But until tonight, folks, have a good day, and thank you, Dr. Tracy, one more
You.
time.
Thank you.